So as you may have heard, the FTC has filed a lawsuit against Amazon about its antitrust monopoly practices in general. So we will make that article available down below so you guys can actually check out the actual lawsuit. Today's video is actually about Amazon's reaction and how they actually responded to its third-party sellers, who this lawsuit is basically about, right? So it's about their practices in general and how they affect their third-party sellers. So as we always say, 60% of the sellers on Amazon are actually third-party sellers. So we essentially carry the weight on Amazon for all the different products that are on Amazon. So naturally, Amazon was going to respond directly to sellers. So today's actually a reaction of a third-party seller of what Amazon is basically telling us, right? So this is an article that was published on September 26th, so just a few days ago. I wanted a couple days to sort of absorb it and honestly see if anyone else posted any information about this to kind of get their take on it. So today we're going to review that. So let's just dive right into the article. We'll go through this line by line, not every single word, but for the most part. So essentially it all starts out with them saying that over the last couple of years, Amazon's engaged in cooperatively participating in a Federal Trade Commission investigation. You know, like a year and a half ago, or maybe even 2 years ago, I don't remember when it was, they actually announced to us that this is going on, to all the third-party sellers, and they actually asked us to fill out a petition. Or to sign the petition or whatever to make this all stop. And honestly, it was kind of like a threat. They made it sound like if they got sued by the FTC, they were going to boot all the third-party sellers. That's how I felt about it. I don't know how other people felt about it, but basically looking at the seller forums, many others felt the same way. So essentially they're saying, in respect to the role the FTC has historically played in protecting consumers and promoting competition, unfortunately it appears the current FTC is radically departing from the approach, filing a misguided lawsuit against Amazon that would, if successful, force Amazon to engage in practices that actually harm consumers and the many businesses that sell in their store, such as having to feature higher prices, offer slower or less reliable Prime shopping, and make Prime more expensive and less convenient. So what they're essentially saying here is the buy box, right? So the Amazon buy box, this is what they're claiming here, right? So they're essentially trying to say if you sell maybe wholesale or arbitrage products, right? If multiple people are within a listing. I have a problem with this because they've been engaging in this basically for any product. So over the last couple of years, our agency's launched over 150 products on Amazon. So we have a lot of data and information about what they do with their pricing. And the way I see this, or maybe how the FTC is seeing this, is they force people to competitively price certain products, right? So if you're a third-party seller selling private label products, Amazon can force you to be within a certain price point. This happens to us all the time. Then we try to bring this to their attention and they basically just stonewall us and say it's none of our business and they can't tell us what the reasoning is behind this. Then you go find a similar offer that's offered by Amazon, maybe like an Amazon brand. There's plenty of Amazon brands out there that people don't even realize. And we'll just throw them up on the screen right here. These are just some, right, that you might not even have realized that were actually Amazon brands. So by them forcing people to price the products at a certain price point, they're essentially price fixing, right? So that's not necessarily making it better for anyone, right? They're price fixing and they have a monopoly on market in general. So here they're basically saying, so bring low prices to customers. So they're basically saying that they're proud to bring low prices to customers while they're shopping within the Amazon store. They're also saying that they allow us to sell our products alongside all the Amazon offerings, right? So most people don't realize if a product is sold by Amazon or if it's actually sold by a third-party seller. So this is their reasoning for basically trying to control the price, that they want to keep us honest, right? And they just basically want to provide a great customer experience back for the customer. So they said that they provide tools, so different tools for businesses selling on Amazon. So they're basically saying that they offer different tools for sellers to, you know, sell on Amazon in a competitive way. That's basically when they suppress your listing, they say you're overpriced or whatever it may be. And they say that if we choose to do this, it's up to us. And if we choose not to do this, essentially our offer will just be less competitive on the actual platform. And then they say it's part of their commitment to featuring low prices to earn and maintain customer trust, which we believe is the right decision for both consumers and sellers in the long run. So you're telling me what's right for my business, basically. You're telling me where I should price my products. Now, once again, if this was a general product that maybe I bought from a distributor and there's things like map pricing that we have to respect, right? And that's usually for not pricing it too low, I can understand that. okay? But when it comes to a private label product, you have no business. It is not your concern of what I price my products for. Okay, we've had many instances where Amazon has forced us to lower prices on products that should not have been lowered, and you essentially suppress the listing to the point where people can't even find it because you feel my pricing is too high. I'm sorry, but you're not buying my products. You don't know what I source my products for. You don't know what my margin needs to be. Maybe lower your fees, Amazon, and people will have more competitive pricing because you take such a cut of the products, you force and squeeze third-party sellers to essentially raise their prices just to maybe make 20% when it's all said and done. Honestly, Amazon. So now that that rant's over, then they go on to say that this is how competition works. The FTC has it backwards, and and if they were successful in their lawsuit, the result would be anti-competitive, anti-consumer, because they'd have to stop many of the things that they offer and highlight low prices and call it a perverse result that would be directly opposed to the goals of antitrust laws. Then they go on to say the many ways that they work to help independent sellers succeed, including fulfillment by Amazon. Okay, now I find this very interesting. They're essentially saying that fulfillment by Amazon is a tremendous benefit, which I agree, and it's because they put the Prime badge on it. They're essentially saying that sellers don't have to use fulfillment by Amazon. They can fulfill it themselves if they want, right? However, the problem with that is, it's the way that the platform is actually made up. Most buyers will not buy products unless they are Prime. So if you don't see that Prime badge, no one's gonna buy it. That's realistically what it comes down to. And our internal data basically says that if I were to sell a product via Amazon FBA or Amazon FBM, which is when a seller fulfills their own item, FBM gets about 10% of the sales that FBA would get. So what would you do as a third-party seller? Legitimately, what would you do? Like, you actually have no choice. They've built the platform in a way where you have no choice, and then they're saying, we do have a choice. You could do whatever you want. And realistically, I don't think they're looking enough into all the absorbent fees that they charge sellers to become part of the FBA program. And recently, they opened up the program for seller-fulfilled Prime. They go ahead and mention this within the article that they are offering third-party sellers another solution so we don't actually have to store stuff within their actual warehouses, right? The problem with this is they just recently did this. It was like a month and a half ago. They basically sent out a communication saying if you sell at least 100 units per month, right, via FBM, you can apply to be part of their seller fulfilled Prime program. So then you could essentially fulfill your own products and you'll still have the Prime badge. I'm calling bullshit here because that program has not been available to anyone for over 5 years. And now out of nowhere, you offer this program to people. Why? Why? Did you have some kind of sneak peek into what exactly was going to be filed against you? I'm sure you got some kind of demand letter from the FTC and you saw this was a point of contention, and now all of a sudden you open it back up. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that you make this a point to put this in this basically like a child throwing their toys kind of announcement, whatever you want to call this. Essentially, you didn't do this because you wanted to, you did this because you had to, because you're essentially just playing damage control, which, by the way, makes you look even more dishonest. So scrolling down a little bit, the FTC's allegation that we somehow force sellers to use our optional services is simply not true. Sellers have choices, and many succeed in our store using other logistics services or choosing not to advertise with us. No way. You have to use FBA if you want to be successful with Amazon. There's no way to do it otherwise. Unless you have some kind of super unique product, but realistically, most of the people getting into Amazon FBA, they want to build their own brands. Right? So they don't have all the infrastructure in place. This whole business model of Amazon FBA got built around actually having the Amazon warehouse as part of our logistics stream. And what you've done over the years is essentially raise fees and make it extremely difficult for people to succeed. I mean, just recently you changed the way storage works in general. So instead of it being like you taking the big hit when your items have been sitting in Amazon for a year, you changed it to 6 months and told no one. We only found it because we dig through your terms and conditions all the time. Why not tell people this, right? So it just makes you look so dishonest. And at the end of the day, I think Amazon is making so much money from its third-party sellers from offering these services, right? And just basically killing us with fees that it's out of hand. And I think that's something that the FTC really needs to look more at, not just at the antitrust and the pricing and all that. They need to look at the details, the specific aspects of the Amazon FBA program that is actually affecting third-party sellers. and see what Amazon is truly getting out of it. Because, you know, that's supposed to be a convenience, right? And I have no problem with Amazon making a little bit of money from these services because they have the infrastructure, but they are just making this a profit center all on its own. Okay, so the FTC pretends that this everyday retail competition doesn't exist, but it's an attempt to gerrymander alleged markets into narrow subsets of retailers who in reality compete with other retailers on the same products and make Amazon into something it is not. Amazon may not be the small business it once was, but we're still just a piece of a massive, robust retail market with numerous options for consumers and sellers. Yeah, I don't know about all that. You know, especially because of the pandemic, so many people have gotten just so used to shopping online. So I don't think it's really fair if you go ahead and then compare yourself to retail locations. That's just not fair at all. Like, this isn't what this is about. This is about e-commerce and basically the platform that Amazon's built. So we'll link this article down below so you guys can check it out in more detail and just, you know, form your own opinion. Today I just wanted to give you guys my opinion of what's going on. You know, review the article with you. So yeah, guys, so we've linked the article down below, both the FTC complaint as well as Amazon's childish response. Some of the points are actually pretty funny, so I do recommend that you actually go ahead and take a look and read it. Guys, let me know what you think. You know, comment down below. Let's start the conversation. Something like this can be very beneficial to us in the long run if we stick together. I've always said this. I've always said that sellers need to stick together. Many of us work against each other, right? This just kind of proves that things can happen, right? Things can happen in the right direction. I just think we all need to stick together throughout this process to see how this all kind of pans out and make sure that whatever happens doesn't become some knee-jerk reaction that Amazon just takes it out on us, the third-party sellers, because it wouldn't be the first time they actually did it. So yeah, start the conversation below. Let me know what you think. Any horror stories about Amazon, feel free to throw them down below and we can go from there.